Top-level tennis returns to Brisbane this week for the first time since the pandemic, but it will be a slightly different format to what we're used to. Joining me live now is the director of the United Cup tournament, Stephen Farrow. Stephen, thanks for your time. Tell us about how this tournament works.
Well, we've got some of the very best female and male tennis players in the world coming together to play for big ranking points, $50 million US prize money, but above all for national pride as they come together to play for their country in a competition that features 18 national teams split into 6 groups. Then they'll battle it out to see who goes through to play for the first ever United Cup title.
Now, we've got some big names lining up. Of course, everyone trying to get some practice in ahead of the Australian Open later next month. Who can we expect to see taking to the courts in Brisbane?
Well, we've got some of the biggest names in the game taking part in this event across all 3 of our host cities in Brisbane, in Perth and in Sydney. But in Brisbane in particular, we've got the best WTA female tennis player in the world right now in Iga Swiatek, who really, after Ash Barty's retirement at the beginning of this year, she really sort of drove her way through the rest of the calendar, won match after match and title after title. So she really headlines a very strong field in Brisbane. We've got Belinda Bencic, who was of Switzerland, who was the Olympic champion in Tokyo, with Stan Wawrinka, former Australian Open, US Open champion as well, French Open champion as well in Team Switzerland. And then also Casper Ruud for Team Norway. Casper Ruud, again, one of a host of very talented young tennis players who are coming through to succeed the greats that are coming towards the end of their careers or come to the end of their career. And Casper leads a Norway team there. He's been as high as number 3 in the world, definite contender for Grand Slams. But we've got a whole host of quality players who are competing in this event. Between them, they've got 24 Grand Slam singles titles, 31 Grand Slam doubles titles. It's very, very strong. And we're going to see top quality tennis across all our 3 cities.
We've obviously had an interrupted summer of tennis the past couple of years because of the COVID pandemic. How are the players feeling about being able to get it back out there and compete in these lead-up tournaments ahead of the Australian Open, which really have been severely impacted over the past couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Australia is in such a great position because we have so many great tournament venues, and in Brisbane and Perth and Sydney, you've got 3 cities with such a great history and heritage of hosting big tennis tournaments and welcoming players in this pre-Australian Open period. So the mood amongst the players, we've got players out practicing in Brisbane and Sydney and Perth right now, all very positive to be back in Australia. They love playing in Australia. They love playing in front of the big crowds that we get here. Obviously, a lot of them coming from Europe and the US right now into the sunshine, which again is a big thing. But I think everyone's really eager and excited to embrace this new Australian summer of tennis. And certainly the enthusiasm we've seen in Brisbane from the volunteers, from the crowds as well, is that people are really eager to get out there and watch some high quality tennis again.
Must give a real shot in the arm to the economy as well.
Absolutely. We know that these events bring big crowds and they bring a lot of interest. They're a great opportunity for Brisbane and for the other cities as well to sort of show off the city. We work very hard with our fantastic partners in the tourism bodies in those cities and states to make sure that we show a lot of that local flavour that might bring tourists to the city. And the players love that as well. I mean, someone like Brisbane, which is, like I said before, got a long tradition of fantastic tennis events. There's a lot of players coming back there this year, Belinda Bencic being one, who's played at events there for many years and was really excited to effectively come back to a second home in Brisbane. So absolutely, it's big for tourism, big for the sport, and certainly for Tennis Australia to be able to bring an event of this nature really fits the values of the organisation of equality. To bring the female players, the male players together in this format is a format that we think will really appeal and engage with the tennis audience, and we think is something that's going to grow and grow and is really here to stay.
Now, give us your big tip. Who do you think is going to get through the group stage there in Brisbane, and who do you think is going to take out this tournament?
Tough to say. We've got so many great players playing. I know it's a long playing record saying that, but I mean, you've got to look at Team Poland in Brisbane with not just Iga Swiatek, who I mentioned before, but Hubert Hurkacz, who has been in and around the ATP top 10 now for a year, maybe 2 years or so. Another very high quality player. So Poland have got good strength in depth. You then look at the Italy team also playing in Brisbane. Matteo Berrettini had a great Australian Open earlier this year. Big serving, tall Italian player. A very, very talented player. He will spearhead Team Italy there. I would say the Swiss, though, look very strong with Bencic and Wawrinka. Wawrinka's actually captaining the team as well. So I think there's definitely going to be a contender for the title that's going to emerge from the groups in Brisbane. But we've got some very strong teams as well. We've got Greece in Perth with Stefanos Tsitsipas and Maria Sakkari. We've got Spain in Sydney with Rafael Nadal and Paula Badosa. So there's some very, very strong teams. And what's so special about this tournament is that you get the women and the men playing together and competing with each other. And you really get that. You get these countries which have got quality on both the women's and the men's side really being given that opportunity to come to the fore and compete. So we've got some really great, exciting matches ahead, and we can't wait to get started.
And what about crowd-wise? Of course, we've been deprived in many parts of this country of top-level tennis for quite a while. Are you expecting big crowds to get out there, not just at Pat Rafter Arena, but at other places around the country to see these stars in action?
Yeah, I mean, we've been met with a lot of enthusiasm for this event from everywhere really, from a player perspective, as you can see by the entry field, certainly from the general public, because there is that feeling that tennis is so uniquely placed to have a sport of this type, because we've got such high quality athletes in both the female and the male side of the game. So it's felt almost long overdue to have an event of this type where they're competing for points and prize money. And for their countries altogether, and that's really struck a chord. We feel with the fans out there. Obviously, it's the first year of an event. We're in 3 big venues in Brisbane, Perth, and Sydney. But certainly, looking at the level of enthusiasm and the ticket sales so far, we're confident there's a very strong audience for this event. And this is an event that we're really committed to, and we think has got such great potential to grow and grow over the years ahead.
Certainly is great to see those stars back in action. Stephen Farrow, thanks so much for joining us today.